Today's video is sponsored by Dashlane, the desktop and mobile app designed to keep you and your passwords safe. So the summertime is officially here, and I thought this would be a good time. I like to do this pretty much every year to really check out what is coming up on the horizon. Like, what new games do we have to look forward to in the next few months? So I want to go through 12 of what I think looks like the most interesting looking new games coming up in summer 2020, and hopefully somewhere within this list I find something to pull me away from the World of Warcraft, because I've been playing way too much. I'm not gonna lie. All right, so let's go ahead and go into the list. Let's check out 12 great games that you can play in summer 2020. I like to go in order of release date, so we're just gonna start things off just a few days from now on June the 2nd. We have the official release of Valorant. This is the competitive 5v5 character-based tactical shooter from Riot Games. It's a game that's all about precise, highly lethal gunplay with the splash of hero abilities. It's basically like you took Counter-Strike and added characters from games like Rainbow Six Siege, Overwatch, or TF2. And really, there's a huge focus in this game on this high-level competitive play. Now, it's been in beta testing for a little bit over a month, and again, the official launch is happening on June 2nd. It is PC only. I have a couple of videos on Valorant up on the channel already. I played actually a fairly significant amount over the course of a couple of weeks when I got into the beta, and I really liked the game quite a bit, but I just eventually stopped playing completely because it kind of seems like one of those games where you're either playing it all the time or you're not playing it at all, because the experience isn't as great if you're not as familiar. Even if I took a day off of playing Valorant that I was falling behind and my teammates were getting pissed for not knowing like the new meta that formed over a 24-hour period. So Valorant is no question, it's a good game. I think it played great. I had a lot of fun with it, but just realize like it's going to be a very competitive game. There's going to be a very serious audience for this title. All right, the next game, I'm pretty hyped for this one. This is C&C Remastered, and of course I'm talking about Command & Conquer, which was one of the early pillars of the RTS genre alongside games like StarCraft, Warcraft, and Age of Empires. So this is a remastered collection that's going to deliver 4K graphics, a rebuilt multiplayer, an enhanced UI, and a completely remastered soundtrack. Some additional features coming with this remaster include a graphics switching option, mod support, custom game lobbies, a ranking system with leaderboards, replays and observer mode, a map editor, and hotkey customization. And this C&C Remaster launches on June 5th on PC. This is another PC exclusive here. And I guess the hope with this really, I think what's on everyone's mind right now is, boy, this better be better than that Warcraft 3 remaster that we just got. Traditional RTS games near and dear to my heart. I really enjoyed Command & Conquer as a kid. And I also really loved the Pure Ponage. If you guys, anyone ever watched the Pure Ponage series?
If you want to be like pro, right? Like when you get up in the morning, like, you know, you gotta check C&C replays like first.
Anyway, C&C Remastered coming out on June the 5th. Seems pretty cool if you're into that RTS genre. The next game on the list I actually just learned about recently. This is a title called Disintegration. It is a sci-fi first-person shooter that combines elements of the FPS genre with real-time strategy. So there's a single-player campaign as well as PvP multiplayer with 3 different game modes. And the studio that made this game was actually founded by Marcus Leto, which was the co-creator of Halo and the creative director of Halo Reach, and they're really apparently looking to deliver this brand new sci-fi saga. Like obviously they hope that this becomes as big as the Halo franchise. Who wouldn't want something like that? So in the campaign, you play as this character called Romir Scholl and take on a rising global army set on eliminating humanity. It's got multiplayer that includes numerous maps with 3 distinct team-based 5 vs 5 modes. One of the big features of this game is this thing called the Grav Cycle. It's this heavily armored vehicle that's going to offer a variety of different firepower, maneuverability, and ability options. There'll be some customization there. And there's also the element of this crew. So you can create a custom crew with units that have their own looks, skills, and playstyles. And then in combat, you'll be able to take control of them, directing them to attack targets, to pick up items, and to use special abilities to help you win fights. This game launching on June 16th for the PC, PS4, and Xbox One. Again, this is something that I really just learned about. It seems interesting enough, and hopefully it carves out its own little niche in the market. Niche? Words, I'm bad. Next up, this is a game that you undoubtedly have heard of. This is The Last of Us 2, of course, sequel to 2013's critically acclaimed The Last of Us, the action-adventure game, and the sequel will be continuing the story of Ellie and Joel in a zombie-infested post-apocalyptic world. Some main selling points here that they're talking about are an overhauled engine with new combat mechanics, a new analog stealth system, and revamped animation system. They've got environments that are broader and more complex and detailed, and human enemies that are much more threatening and capable using sophisticated communication and environmental awareness to create intense dynamic encounters. The Last of Us 2 will be launching on June 19th. This is a PlayStation exclusive coming to the PS4. We can't talk about The Last of Us 2 without bringing up the leaks. Basically, major plot points of this game have been out there for, I think it's been a few weeks now when the leaks first showed up. There was a huge backlash. People basically didn't like what they saw of the story. Now, I've heard people say that, you know, if you take any story and you break it down to 5 bullet points, most of them are going to seem pretty shitty. You know what I mean? It's really the nuance in the storytelling. The nuance in the flow is really what decides, is that a good or bad story? But that said, I think there are some major grievances that are totally understandable. I don't want to spoil anything, but I guess I could say that I totally understand where a lot of this backlash is coming from, and I'll just leave it at that. But we'll have to see. It's still clearly highly anticipated. There's almost no question that it's going to be a hit and sell well. Next up, let's talk about Desperados 3. This is a prequel to the classic Desperados: Wanted, Dead or Alive. This is a story-driven, hardcore tactical stealth game set in the ruthless Wild West. The game promises freedom of choice with countless different ways to overcome any obstacle, and you can defeat large groups of enemies with careful planning and execution. You'll get to explore frontier towns, mysterious swamps, sprawling modern cities, and many more locations, and choose between non-lethal and deadly attacks, stealth, or blazing guns, a variety of difficulty settings, and special replay challenges. And Desperados 3 will be launching on June 16th on the PC, PS4, and Xbox One. Seems like a pretty cool tactical game. I would be interested in giving a look. I don't know that this is exactly my favorite type of genre, but it seems like it could be pretty cool. So those are all of the games for June, and before we get into July games, sit tight for a word from today's sponsor. Dashlane can help you with the following. It acts as a password manager for your hundreds of online accounts, letting you generate complex and strong passwords without the need to remember them, autofills personal info and payment details to speed up using checkout on any website, sends you alerts if any of your accounts are ever compromised, monitors the dark web if your personal information is ever leaked, and it's a VPN with country select, offering safe private browsing. If you're interested in trying it for yourself, head to dashlane.com/force and use the code FORCE to get 25% off Dashlane Premium. Let's move into games for July. Starting things off, we've got Skater XL. This skateboarding game is being called an evolution of the genre with unparalleled board control and responsiveness as you skate through legendary real-world spots. So this is a pretty grounded skating game. It's not having like that crazy over-the-top gameplay in like Tony Hawk. It's more like a realistic skateboard sim almost, which isn't a bad thing. Clearly, it's in Steam Early Access right now and has just phenomenal user reviews. People really like this thing. So if you're interested in another skate game, this one comes out on July 7th for the PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC. Moving on, we have Ghost of Tsushima, an open-world action-adventure game. You get to play as a samurai warrior protecting his homeland from invading hordes, roaming a vast countryside, discovering ancient landmarks and ruins on the island of Tsushima, which I'm almost certainly saying wrong. Many apologies. It's got a combination of like these deep close quarters combat system where you can engage in these duel style one-on-ones or brawls where you take on multiple opponents. But there's also a big emphasis on this sneaking around, striking from the shadows, this very stealthy gameplay, which I really like. It reminds me of Tenchu, which is a game that I played a ton as a kid. And this one is a PlayStation exclusive and will be launching on the PS4 on July 17th. Moving on, this is another game on this list that completely took me by surprise. I had not heard of it prior to trying to put this thing together. This is called Drake Hollow. So it's a multiplayer survival game with this special twist that you're working to protect these vegetable creatures. Here's a blurb from the official site. Explore a blighted world with your friends, gather supplies, battle savage creatures, and build villages to protect the local innocent vegetable folks known as drakes. So basically your mission is to protect these drake creatures, and they say they're hungry, thirsty, tired, and can literally die of boredom. Trust me, I know how you feel. So we have to build up these gardens to provide them with food, wells for water. We have to give them yoga balls and puppet shows to keep them entertained. It's hilarious, dude. You can craft treadmills and solar panels to generate power for Tesla coils, electric fences, and other fortifications. And besides keeping them alive and entertained, you have to protect them from the other residents of the Hollow. There are these evil feral creatures who are trying to take over the land, and you can take them on in one-on-one, this action combat system that the game has. There's a wide variety of weapons. You can also bring in your friends, as this game is multiplayer. They do have co-op options. So this game coming out on July 17th for the PC and Xbox One. This was a nice surprise in this list because I wasn't expecting this game, but I think it looks pretty neat. And last game in July is Destroy All Humans. This is an alien invasion story where you play as the alien. So basically this is a remake of the original Destroy All Humans, an action adventure game from 2005. They're saying this is a faithful rebuild, but from scratch. So you will be terrorizing people of 1950s Earth in the role of the evil alien Crypto-137. You can annihilate humans using an assortment of alien weaponry and psychic abilities, reduce their cities to rubble with your flying saucer. There's psychokinesis to send enemies flying or bombard them with random objects. This game coming on July 28th for the PC, PS4, and Xbox One. And now let's go ahead and move into the games in August. I got a couple I want to talk about here. First up, it's New World. I've talked about this game a lot, and I will say that over time, my excitement dial is ticking downward, but I'm still looking forward to checking this thing out. So New World, of course, is the open world MMO action RPG from Amazon Game Studios. It's got an action combat system that the developers have said numerous times was heavily inspired by Dark Souls. So each weapon has its own unique attack patterns, progression, and even a skill tree, and you need to aim your abilities and attacks in order to hit your targets. There's classless character progression, where your abilities actually come from the weapons you use and the experience you have with them. There will be servers of up to 1,000 players. You're gonna make a character, level it up, gear it, and then prepare for one of the big focuses, which are these 50 versus 50 PvP battles for territory control. There are player-run settlements as well. There is also PvE in the game, so you'll be fighting back the island's numerous NPC factions. There will be world bosses for group events. There are these invasions where you fend off waves of enemies from attacking the player-owned towns. And New World is launching on the PC on August 25th. Now, the weird thing about New World is there's been a lot of debate about this game, or controversy, I guess, because they've had a big shift in direction in 2019. Besides that stuff, Amazon's first two games have not done well. Both of them getting around a 50 on Open and Metacritic, not a good sign. The first two games doing poorly doesn't necessarily mean the New World is going to do poorly, but I think that combined with a lot of the concern and controversy that we've already seen, I'm hoping they can pull it together because I like the concept of New World a lot, and I think it could be a really cool game if done well. Next up, we have got Windbound, a single-player action-adventure game where you are shipwrecked on an island and must explore, adapt, and navigate the land and perilous seas. So you start off with nothing, and then it's like an action-adventure game. You'll be crafting tools and weapons to hunt and defend yourself, exploring islands and these scattered ruins, unraveling the mystery behind the game's story as you try to find your way home. Now, in the early trailer, and I think there's only one trailer right now for this game, they show a variety of different creatures. They show the player running around and exploring, hunting, gathering, making fire, crafting a boat to travel between islands. You see some fights with large creatures with this action combat that has, basic attacks and dodging and different types of weapons. So it seems pretty interesting. It is a single player only game though. But anyways, yeah, Windbound coming out August 28th on PC, PS4, Xbox One, and Switch. And then the final 12th game on today's list is Serious Sam 4. This is a high-powered prequel of the classic FPS series loaded with an explosive arsenal, intergalactic carnage, and perfectly timed one-liners. I can't believe I even read that. Why did I put that on the script? All right, so Serious Sam 4 is just like an over-the-top kind of arcadey FPS game. With the Serious Sam 4, they're looking to scale up the game and the chaos to these unprecedented levels with an unimaginable number of enemies that requires players to circle strafe and backpedal blast their way out of impossible situations. I thought I saw a quote for this thing saying there was like 100,000 enemies that you would have to fight on screen at once. It's just something absolutely crazy. They're gonna have the iconic cast of alien invaders as well as some new reinforcements, a slew of devastating weapons with the double-barreled shotgun, chainsaw launcher, the iconic cannon, and then there will be weapon unlocks and upgrades, and you can play through the campaign alone or with friends in this 4-player online co-op mode. There's also modified difficulties for an extra challenge, and Serious Sam 4 for coming out at some point in August, no set day yet, and that will be available on the PC and the Xbox One. So those are the 12 games that I think are the most interesting and that I'm keeping the closest eye on myself coming out this summer. A couple honorable mentions. Destiny 2 is having Season 11, which I think sounds pretty cool. I'm always looking for an excuse to hop back into that game. There's that SpongeBob game, which a lot of people are excited for. I think it looks fine, but I don't know that I'll necessarily play it. And then finally, there's Paper Mario: The Origami King. I just can't talk about Nintendo games because every time I've ever shown Nintendo footage in my videos, Nintendo has taken the rights to the video. They've copyright claimed it every single time. I know apparently they have stopped doing that, is what I've been told. I'm just not gonna take the risk. I don't want to take the risk, okay? So you probably won't hear me talk about a lot of Nintendo games, unfortunately. But yeah, Paper Mario. There's a new Paper Mario. People are pretty hyped about that. But that's gonna do it for my list of 12 games coming out in summer 2020 that you should check out. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video. And I'll see you in the next one. Take it easy.